I am in my classroom and I have done something that I probably shouldn't have done. I will say on Monday, my kids really did struggle with not finding missing add-ins, but something else. I do want to go ahead and get into some of the Teachers Connect questions. There are only two that I'm going to do today. What's up, y'all? It is Sunday, October the 7th. I am in my classroom and I have done something that I probably shouldn't have done, but I just could not help it. So I ended up moving. I'm gonna move right here because the light is just, So if you can tell, it looks a little different in my room, and that's because I moved it around. I talked to my friends. When I say friends, I mean my kids. I call my kids my friends. But I talked to my friends a couple weeks before fall break, and I was telling them how, you know, at the beginning of the year, I think we were really overwhelmed with, gross. I was talking to my kids and telling them how we felt overwhelmed about the flexible seating and all that stuff. And I asked them, well, what do you guys think about it now? Is that something that you still like to do, or is that something that you just want to keep your desks? And I had some friends. Most of them were like, let's try it out. Some of them were like, I like to keep my desk. So that's perfectly fine. We're going to do a little bit of both. So I'm not letting all my kids go out at once. Absolutely not. I still have about 15 desks in here. I'm going to have a group of 4, group of 3, group of 4. So that is 11. Whoop. 1 on their own, 12. 1 on their own, 13. 1 on their own, 14, 1 on their own, 15, and then I have a table right here that has 3 friends on there. And then I have the rest that are going to be doing their own little thing where they choose to do. I'm not going to throw out all the options. I'm just going to give them 3 options for right now. One is this group of 3 right here are empty desks. So if they want to choose to sit at a desk, they have that option. That's their first choice. So the second option will be these 3 laundry baskets right here. I do have a 4th one, but I'm going to tell you what that one's going to be used for in just a second. And then the third option is going to be lap desks. I have about 4 lap desks, sorry, that they can take out and use if they like to, and use that around the room. Everyone else kind of doesn't have a say in where they want to sit, and that's whether they wanted to keep their seats or they need to keep their seats. And you guys know what I mean by they need to keep their seats. 1, 2, 3, and 4 need to keep their seats. But my 4th one is a little bit different than the other ones. With my guy right here that's sitting by himself, I'm going to give him this laundry basket right here because I think that it'll actually help him in staying in one spot, getting his work together. One thing that he really has an issue with is being able to focus on one thing at a time, and getting his work done. He's always up, he's always around, he's always moving, and then that just disturbs everyone else. And I have about 5 or 6 other boys that think, oh, well, if he's going to be up walking around, I'm going to get up and walk around. So that's obviously not the case. I'm actually going to put some tennis balls on 2 of the chair legs so that way the chair will wobble so he can get his moves out. I'm giving him this laundry basket because I feel like I noticed last year with some of my friends that when they got in the laundry basket, that was kind of like a physical way of knowing this is my spot and I'm going to stay in it. And I'm hoping that it'll work with him as well. So that's what I'm going to do with that 4th laundry basket. I've got all my stuff ready for, well, most of my stuff ready for this week. I kind of moved some stuff around. So before I had all my stuff right here. At the end of the year, I thought it'd be cool. I thought it'd be easy for me to work with because I could just go right back there, have all my stuff on that back wall, all my binders and things like that. So I wasn't really going to need anything. But it just really felt really cramped for me. It was hard for me to just use that space. So I moved back to right here, and I have a lot more room to move. I have a lot more options to put things in different places and things, and I still also have access to my binders and stuff. I just have to walk through, well, this is going to get moved. But I have this walkway right through here to get right back and get any binders that I need. So that's how I have that. I have one more thing to do, and that is to make a KWL chart, because we're actually going to be using that tomorrow. Other than that, I have all my stuff ready for the beginning of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I have some things for Thursday and Friday that I need to get together, but be all right. But yeah, we are reading Pumpkin Circle as our mentor text this week for reading. And the thing that we need, this is going to be going in their reading journals, but I need to have a big anchor chart of my own to do whole group. So I'm going to be making that really quick. It'll probably take me about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to leave. After that, I'm going to go to Walmart, get some lap desks, and then I'm actually going to be meeting up with a friend today and just chill and hang out, because I really haven't been a social butterfly over my fall break. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to go ahead and end today here. So what I'm going to do is, really quick, I'm just going to pan around the room. Now, obviously, it's not finished. There's still a couple of things I need to move, but it's essentially going to look like this when they walk in on Monday. So I'm just going to go ahead and end this here. After I pan, I will catch you guys when I check in with you next. What's up, guys? It is Wednesday, October the 11th. I am in my classroom. It is 4:24, and I'm here because I just have some things to catch up on. I wasn't able to stay after school on Monday. I was meeting with the assistant principal about some things. I also did not stay yesterday just because I just felt really tired and just down, and I just couldn't stay here after school. So decided to stay a little bit later than usual today. I actually just got out of a meeting, so I'm actually going to be here a little bit longer than I expected. We had not a faculty meeting. We had a committee meeting that I'm on, and so we just met to talk about some different things to get on with our school year. But I do want to kind of catch you up to speed on what we've been doing this week. So in math, we've been working on missing add-ins and understanding missing add-ins, how to find missing add-ins and all that. I will say on Monday, my kids really did struggle with not finding missing add-ins, but something else. Our lesson this week requires our friends not only to find the missing add-in, but putting it into a number bond and then creating addition sentences with it. On Monday, we really struggled with that. On Tuesday, we had our laptop, so we did not get to an actual lesson with that. But today, I really broke it down because not only do I have to make addition sentences with it, but they also have to make subtraction sentences with it too. So it's kind of like teaching fact families, but we're not teaching fact families, and we haven't taught fact families yet. So it's really strange having them to not only find the missing add-in, but make addition and subtraction sentences with it. But I just teach what I'm told to teach. So that's where we're at so far. Today, I think they really grasped the concept of using the numbers from the number bond to make those addition sentences. Because what happened on Monday was, like I said before, they could make those number bonds. They could fill all that stuff out. The problem was taking these numbers and making addition and subtraction sentences out of it. So what I would get was we would have no problem filling this out with 6, 2 as our parts and then 8 as our whole. We had no problem figuring out that 2 was our missing add-in. What we had a problem with was saying, okay, then if we have this, and I know that 2 plus 6 equals 8. What I would get was answers like 4 plus 4 equals 8 and 5 plus 3 equals 8. And I would say, you know what, you're absolutely right. Those do equal 8, but we can't use those addition sentences, or we can't use those numbers because we're not given those numbers in our number bond. And it really threw my kids for a loop because they were like, I know I'm not wrong because my addition sentence is correct. And I was like, you're absolutely right. It is correct. But those aren't the numbers that we were given. We weren't given 3 and 5. We were given 2 and 6. So can you make an addition sentence with 2 and 6? And they were just really, really drawn on making different ways to make 8. They couldn't. Somebody left their folder. Ugh. Sorry, I just seen somebody left their folder here. And that just drives me insane when they leave their stuff. But that's what we were doing with that. So today, we focused just on making addition sentences. I told them, I said, I know you guys know how to fill out this number bond. I know you can find that missing number. I know that you can do that. That's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is take those numbers, just those numbers that were given, and make it to where addition sentences are true. And I did use that terminology because we did talk about balancing equations and making sure that the left side equals the right side and all that. I did teach my kids at the beginning of the year about how the number bond is part, whole. And I'll talk to them today about how addition sentences are always going to be part plus part equals whole. It's always going to be part, whole. Part plus part equals whole. And I said it to the point to where someone was like, you're being very annoying right now. And I said, that's exactly what I want. Because if I'm being annoying, you're going to remember me being annoying. If you remember me being annoying, you remember what I say. And you're always going to remember that addition is part, whole. You're always going to have part plus part equals whole. And so we talked about that. So what's one of my parts? Somebody said 2. I said, so awesome. We've used that number 2. We used the number that was given to us. 2 plus, what's my other part? 6. Awesome. We used another part that we were given. And that's always going to equal our whole. What's our whole? And it was literally just plugging in numbers and figuring out how to make those addition sentences. And then we also went another way. And I was like, so what if I told you that there were actually 2 addition sentences that you can make? And then we went into how you get started off with this part plus this part, or you could do this part plus this part, and it would always equal the whole. So we did just that today. To wrap up the lesson, we did a worksheet over Eureka with Eureka Math, also known as Engage New York, and I'll show you that right now. So what they did with this worksheet was they were given, again, a story problem. They were given pictures to go with it, but they just had to fill out the number bond from the story problem, find the missing add-in, and then make 1 addition sentence from it. So that's what they did today with number 1 and 2. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is, because after today, I feel like they really do have a strong foundation on making an addition sentence from it. I really hope that tomorrow, when we do subtraction, that it does not fluster them. I did have a couple that did already start to try and make subtraction problems, but I just told them, you know, hold off on that. We just want to make sure that you got the addition ones down, and we'll get those subtraction ones when we get to them. So we'll focus just on the addition, and like I said, they did fine. And tomorrow we're going to go back to this and do a subtraction problem, and how those are going to be whole, part. And I really hope that when I describe that as whole, part, that they do not go berserk. Because I have a feeling that when I tell them how subtraction is whole, part, I think it's just going to, I hope it doesn't, but I have a feeling that it's going to kind of confuse them a little bit after they had so much success today with making those addition sentences. I hope not, but we'll see how it goes tomorrow. In reading this week, we are reading the book Pumpkin Circle, which isn't my favorite. It just has a lot of just extra fluff in the story. I mean, it is a great story about the life cycle of a pumpkin, but there's just a lot of metaphors and just different things in there that really is kind of confusing to the first grade mind. So what I did was I kind of found some other books to use in conjunction with Pumpkin Circle to kind of teach the different things that we're doing this week. So we're still talking about main idea and key details. We've talked about on Monday the things that we know about pumpkins, some questions that we have, and then what we ended up learning after we read our story. So we ended up making a KWL chart, not only as a class, but they ended up making their own KWL charts as well and putting it in their reading journals. Yesterday, we actually went through and made our own life cycle of pumpkins, and then today we labeled our own pumpkins, and we made our pumpkins and then labeled them with the different parts, outside and inside. So that's pretty awesome. Tomorrow with Pumpkin Circle, is this Thursday? Tomorrow with Pumpkin Circle, we are doing a reader response to our book, and our reader's response question will be, how do you use pumpkins at your home? We've actually already talked about that a little bit, with how you can use pumpkins to make pumpkin pie, how you can take it and make jack-o'-lanterns with it, use them for decorations, different things, but we're going to go a little bit more in-depth in that tomorrow. And that's what we got so far with Pumpkin Circle. We're talking about main idea and key details from the story and all that different jazz. In social studies this week, we're talking about Christopher Columbus. For science, we're talking about the telescope and uses for it, what we can use it for. It's pretty self-explanatory. We're also talking about plural S. We're still doing sight words and things like that. And I'm still getting ready for small groups and things. So I'm been working on that as well. But what I'm going to do, as of right now, since I've caught you guys all up, I'm going to get on this heap of a mess that I'll call my desk and get that together. It's really not as bad now that I look at it. It's just their journals are all right here that I have to look at, and then our activity that we did today is on here. But I'm just going to clean up some things. I did, over fall break, slack on my grading, and our grades are due next week. So I do want to go ahead and get all of that stuff out of the way. I'm going to be checking their fluency. We did some different fluency reads, and I'm also going to be checking sight word review and see how they're doing with that. And then after that, I'm going to go. Hopefully, I'll be out by 6:30. But yeah. I'm going to go ahead and end it now, and I will check in with you guys tomorrow. What's up, y'all? It is Friday, October the 12th. I've got to say, I have been not the best vlogger this week. I've been so off. The week back from fall break is always just crazy for some reason, but we had a good day today. We did a lot of different things. We did our math test today. We got our I Ready Tommy in, learned some new math games. We had our bus evacuation training today, where our district has all of our kids go through how do we evacuate a bus safely if there were something that to happen when we were on a field trip or something like that. So we got to get on the bus, learn about the bus rules, and learn how to evacuate safely. If we're going out the front door, how to go about that. If you have to go through the side door, how to scoot and jump and not just jump off with your feet. We also have a greenhouse at our school, and we went to go see the pumpkin plants. Since we've been talking about pumpkins all this week, we went to go see the pumpkin plants. Let's see, we did our reading test today. We talked about telescopes, and that's what we're talking about this week for science. We did not get to finish up what I wanted to with Christopher Columbus, but luckily next week we're still talking about Columbus Day and directions on a map and all that. So we'll be finishing that up next week for social studies. We got our Lexia time in, and that's pretty much it. It wasn't a big, huge learning day for us today. We were just catching up on some things and just practicing certain skills. So it was a really good day today, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave from here. I have to go to our public library here in the city because the school does not have a book. Well, it has a book that I need, but it is checked out. So I'm just going to go ahead and end this here, and then I will check in with you guys later on tonight to answer some Teachers Connect questions. All right, guys, so I made it back from the library, and the book that I went to get, I don't think I've said, I can't remember if I said it in the other video or not, but the book that I went to get was Spiders by Gale Gibbons. It is actually our mentor text for our reading unit next week. And I wanted to make sure that I had that. Our school library did have it, but it was checked out by someone else. This book is also on Epic. I did not want to show it on Epic though. And the reason why is because I really want it to be tangible and be able to really go through it and see. I'll obviously send it to my kids' mailboxes on Epic, so that way they'll have access to it. But also I wanted to have a physical, tangible copy that we could use and interact with in the classroom. But I did get this book right here. And this is a really good book. Books by Gale Gibbons. We did one the other week with apples, and it's very, very informative. There are lots and lots of factual information about spiders on here. But I did not want this to be the only book that we use to get our information from. So what I did was, while I was at the library, I got tons of fiction and nonfiction texts about spiders. So as far as like fiction books that I got, there's actually a series at the county library, and the series is Library of Spiders, and they have all types of books on different spiders. So I got some on jumping spiders, tarantulas, funnel web spiders, all types of things. Just all types of nonfiction books about various types of spiders. I didn't want them to have this one idea. I wanted them to be able to know that there are many different forms and many different ways that they get food and move and different things like that. So there are tons of nonfiction books that I have with that. And then I also have some fiction books as well. I don't have it with me because I got it from our school library, but it's Our Spiders, and I forget who it's by. But it is a classic. When I student taught in developmental kindergarten, I taught an actual spider unit, and I used that book as well as some others to teach the lesson that week. Our Spiders is by Lydia Monks, and I'm sure that you guys have seen or heard about this book. I'll even show you what the title page looks like. But ew, can you see that? Okay, there we go. But that's what that is. Those are one of the books. I also have Miss Muffet, or What Came After, that deals with that. I also have the book Bear Scare, as well as some other fiction books that deal with spiders. So I wanted to get them in the group with all of that, as well as having all these different types of books, all these different varieties, fiction, nonfiction, various types of spiders. I really want to focus a lot on text features, even though that's not a specific standard that we're working on right now. I do want to begin to introduce and enlighten them on the text features, how we can use those pictures, how we can use the captions, how we can use the headings and what that means when we're reading the book. So I really want to focus on that. But that's what I went to the library for. And the cool thing about that too is that while I was at the library, I've actually seen one of my students there. One of my students from this year. He was there with his mom and his younger siblings. It was so cool to kind of see students in the community actually using the resources like the library and things like that. I found that very, very powerful. And I'm so glad that I got to see him there with his family and being able to be totally immersed in different types of books and texts. So that was pretty awesome. I do want to go ahead and get into some of the TeachersConnect questions. There are only two that I'm going to do today, and they are parent-based questions. And personally for me, I find, and this is so weird, but I find that the hardest part of teaching for me is interacting with parents. And I don't know why. That's just something that I have to work on for me. But I feel like I do have some good insight on these two questions. So this first question comes from Tastasia, and Tastasia's question is about students lying to parents. And she starts off by, how do you address this with students and parents? I've encountered some situations this week where students have went home and told parents about things that happened in the classroom that in fact did not happen. A student went home and told his mother he was bit by another student. He was not, and I noticed the alleged bite mark on his hand upon arrival at school. It looked more like a rash. I assured the parent that it did not happen at school, but I would look into it. I asked the student this morning if someone bit him. He said he didn't know. I then asked where the mark came from, and he said a tree branch. The parent wasn't rude, but I love the saying, don't believe everything your child tells you happens at school, and I won't believe everything they tell me that happens at home. Is there a way that you specifically try to eliminate these issues from occurring? Stasia, I'll just have to say this, that kids say the darndest things. There's no way that you can be 100% sure that a child is never going to be dishonest about what goes on at school. I will say I would keep a line of communication open with that specific parent. I know you said that the parent wasn't rude about it and they just wanted to know and all that, and I think that what you did was fantastic. You assured them that you knew that it didn't happen, but you would still look into it and kind of ask. What I would do is, after you talk to your child about that, I would let the parents know that that did not happen, and explain what that child said, and keep a record of that. Just so that way you have the record of, okay, I was contacted by a parent about a situation that did not happen, that their child said did. We ended up finding out that the child did not, that the child did not tell the truth in that. And if it happens over and over again, that is something that, when looking back at data, you can say, okay, there's something going on, there's an underlying issue. But I think you handled it very well. I don't see any other problems with it, except for trying to eliminate it. You can try your hardest, but I don't think that that there be a way to ensure that every child in your class will never say something that didn't happen. Like I had a question by a parent last week that said that their child sat out during PE because they didn't have the right tennis shoes on, and I was like, well, I was in the gym the last 10 minutes. I saw her participating. I did not notice her sitting out. There was nobody sitting out. I said, but I'll ask your child. I'll ask the PE teacher what's going on. I asked the child that morning. She looked at me like I was crazy and like, what are you talking about? I didn't sit out at PE. I asked the PE teacher if she sat out during the beginning of recess. I mean, at the beginning of PE, because I know she didn't sit out at the end. And the PE teacher was like, nobody sat out yesterday. I don't know, but I just documented that on my personal documentation sheets. I went back to the parents like, hey, I asked your child, asked the PE teacher. They said that she didn't sit out. And that was coming into that. But again, trying to limit the issue, I think that from your standpoint, there's no way of doing that. But when the issues do occur, that you're proactive on finding out the underlying issues and making sure that everything is good. But that is my spiel on that. One more question that I want to talk about, it comes from Rachel, and her question is about what is the best way to handle repeated hostile, aggressive emails from a parent. She says, I teach a student this year with a parent who has sent me about 5 emails so far, essentially attacking my teaching. She starts every email with a negative comment such as, never in my life I have seen blank in a math classroom. She has claimed that I am not differentiating at all, so how can her son possibly learn? She is questioning my entire grading system, which is used across the entire math department. To make matters worse, her son is not engaged at all during class, falls asleep, does not take notes, does not take responsibility, etc. So far, I've told my team leader and we are planning a whole team conference with an administrator present, and I'm still nervous about meeting this parent in person. Any advice? Has anyone been in a similar situation? I've also been in a similar situation last year where a parent felt like that I was not challenging her student to the best of her abilities and how I was being ineffective in a way. I actually held that meeting on my own, and the reason why is that I was confident in what data I had and what work from the student I had will show and reflect that it's not my part that's the issue, but the student's part. I know that you've listed in here that that child is not engaged, they're falling asleep, they don't take notes, they don't take responsibility for anything. And what I would do is all that information, all those the notes that other students have that student doesn't have, I would show that side by side, that comparison. This is what students are taking notes in. This is what your student has, and show that discrepancy. As far as student work, I would show side by side average student work from the average student in your class, and then with that child's work, and showing it's not my part in that. That's your child not taking the initiative. That's your child not taking that responsibility. But that's just me and what I did. I'm noticing that a lot of other responses to this is saying, awesome, show that student work, you know, get that administrator involved, because so that way they know, and get your math department in with that as well and hold that conference together. If I were you, what I would do is the emails that she's sending, I would just send back something that says, thank you for your concerns. If you would like to meet with me to discuss this further, these are some dates and times that I have. Please let me know if you can attend any of these. And I would put that in her hands, as far as if this is something that is really bothering you, that she's gonna take that initiative to come in and meet with you. Once she comes in and meets with you and your team leaders and your administration, I would still show, you know, these are some of the observations that I'm noticing with your child. Your child is falling asleep in class. Your child is choosing to not take notes. Your child does not finish work. Your child is not taking responsibility for anything in this class. And I would, again, show those comparisons of, this is what the average student in my class does. This is what your student has been doing so far on assignments, on tests, and things like that. And really show that you're doing your part. It's your child that needs to be held accountable for what's going on in the classroom. So that is my take on that. And again, like I said, I have one comment on here that says, if a parent is negative in any communication, I ignore it and document every interaction thereafter. When we meet face to face, I have an administrator present who has received documentation of the interactions. Do not let parents intimidate you. Make sure you have a purpose for everything you're teaching, and you'll be fine. Richard responded and said, minimize email. It's the devil. Keep any initial emails short and to the point. And then it says, any aggressive responses, just offer to meet right away. Never get into back and forth in email. Tracy responded and said, document and keep record of emails. Inform the appropriate school leader. You've done that. Meet with the parent and the school leader. You have all that. And then just have that articulated plan going forward on how this parent should be expected to interact with you. If they're going to send emails like the ones you're using as an example, I would say they should direct their communication via the school leader as a buffer between the parent and yourself. I hope this helps. It is so sad that some parents don't recognize how much energy, time, care, and concern most teachers are putting into our kids. And that is something that is so true. We put so much into our kids and into our class and how we teach. And it does kind of, it does really hurt when you have a parent that pretty much belittles you and how ineffective that they think you are in your classroom. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up the Teachers Connect questions for this week. If you have any responses or comments to those questions, log on to Teachers Connect and put those down below. If you are not on Teachers Connect and you'd love to join, remember, it's free. It's for you. It's for collaborating. It's for sharing ideas. There's a link below where you can sign up. Other than that, we have reached the end. Again, thank you guys so much for sticking with me to the end, and I will catch you in next week's vlog. See ya.